This is the Real Grand Podcast. Welcome home. All right, guys. Well, welcome to another episode of the Real Grand Podcast. We're happy to be together again. It is another good Wednesday to get together and meet someone new, someone that we should know in the Valley. And specifically today, we are spending some time with Giovanni Cardenas, owner of Alpaquita Ranch, which everyone has heard of already, of course. So thanks for being with us today, man.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're here, and I'm glad to be here, and I'm thankful that you are giving people here in the Valley their podcast and this platform to be able to talk and share their stories. And so thank you for having me. In fact, little surprise that I got for you. Didn't script this one, but
snap.
I actually got you. I'm going to gift you a little alpaca. And we actually have these little alpaca plushies in our gift shop. And what's real special about this, I want you to hold this, feel that. What's very special about that, it's that it's made out of 100% alpaca fleece.
This is real.
That is real alpaca fleece. And so part of your people's experience when they come here to visit is they get to enter our gift and fiber shop where they find products made out of their fleece. So what does it feel like? You tell me.
Wait, let me. So is this fleece from an alpaca that's here?
Yes.
Like one of your alpacas, I'm touching his fleece.
Yes.
Wow, this is soft, man.
Yeah. And so not only is it very soft, it's also resistant to water and ice.
Really?
It is anti-flammable, and it is even hypoallergenic.
Really? Mm-hmm. So this is real stuff.
That is the real stuff.
This is amazing. Thank you.
It is. So is this little guy and that little guy. If you like any other color, you can pick your color.
This is not dyed. Like this is all natural.
That is natural colors of an alpaca.
Wow,
Alpacas come in 22 different natural colors: white, black, gray.
Wow. So I'm looking at a few of them, brown, guys, and I honestly did not realize that this is real fleece. Is it fleece or wool? Fleece, yeah. Right?
Fleece, fiber.
Wow, alpaca fiber. This is cool, man. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course.
I didn't know that I was gonna have an alpaca,
a little gift,
plushie to go home with today. So this is all. He's gonna have a name by tonight.
Yeah, for sure.
He's gonna have a name by tonight. Well, thank you, man. And that's what we're here for, right? We're here to talk about these alpaca. Well, not these. Not the plushies, but this place, man, has blown up in the Valley. It is honestly, I really feel like we all as a community feel like this place, Alpaquita Ranch, is a gift to the community. So like from everybody, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you first of all for making this place like a thing and making it here, right? Because I mean it's in the Rio Grande Valley. Thank you for not taking this somewhere else and letting us enjoy it, because this is a place that we've seen. We went to your festival. What was it, like 2 weeks ago?
September 30th. September 30th. Mm-hmm.
It was packed. There were so many people. You could see just how much everyone loved what you've got going on. So I mean, honestly, we're all like impressed with what you're doing here. So of course we had to come talk to you, right? For everyone that already loves you, and then for everyone that is just finding out that this place exists here in Monte Alto. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. Okay, Alpaquita Ranch. So before we get into the whole alpacas, and I can't stop touching this guy here.
And so part of the reason why, so little backstory before we get into the more conversation. So alpacas are from the Andes Mountains in South America, and originally it was the Inca people who started to domesticate alpacas and llamas and use them for different types of things. And so in those times, they believed that alpaca fleece brought them peace and tranquility. And so they would carry fleece from alpacas inside of their pockets for that. That was their belief. Well, Now fast forward today, alpacas, there are actually alpacas that are used as therapy animals throughout the United States, because there's something about these animals that is very magical. Their fleece that just puts a smile on your face, just reduces that stress, that anxiety. And so that's part of the reason why you can't stop touching it either.
Really?
Right? Because they're truly magical, and studies have actually shown that they do reduce the stress and anxiety within you by just touching the fleece and being with that. It's one of a kind.
Man, I didn't even know that. Yeah. And I was like living proof. Like,
yeah. And so they refer alpaca fleece as fiber of the gods.
Fiber of the
That's
gods.
what alpaca
Okay,
fleece is
man,
referred to.
this is awesome. Okay, so man, we're gonna get back into that for sure.
Yeah.
But before we do, and just so everyone knows, I'm gonna be holding this guy the whole time. Tell us about you, man, because I mean, we're seeing the product, we're seeing Alpaquita Ranch. Everyone who comes, they see what you've got going on. But let's talk about the person behind the team behind the product. So tell us about yourself. Tell who is Giovanni Cardenas.
When I was about up until I was like 8 years old, I lived here in Edcouch, which is not too far from here. Um, and my parents are both first generation college graduates, and so my dad was a teacher, and my mother was a CPS social worker. Um, and when I was brought into this world, they decided to they're in Edcouch. They decided to turn their house into a childcare center, and so they both ended up quitting their jobs, and so I kind of grew up in childcare, and that was kind of the growing business that my family they started taking care of kiddos from their living room, and in the back of that child care center, my dad had farm animals, and he had chickens, he had cows, he had all sorts of animals that we would care for. And so not only did I grow up around, my parents trying to grow this business from really nothing here in Edcouch, from scratch, from their own home. But I also got to grow up with in the farm life with animals, and I remember absolutely hating to change out waters, every day, or help my dad with that, and so if you got farm animals, if you got chickens and dogs and all sorts of pets, there's a lot of chores to do, and so between that and my parents trying to grow their childcare business. That was about the first 8 to 10 years of my life. After that, we moved over to McAllen. They continued to increase. And continued to expand their business, and so I got to see the amount of work, and I got to see the type of mindset that you have to have in order to grow a business. Right? It's not just going to have. Yeah, even though you say Alpaquita Ranch has grown pretty quick, it still has not been from one day to another. And it's taken a lot of work. I mean, this has been, some of the most challenging thing that I've ever gotten myself into is what I'm doing right now. But I got to see my parents in those situations, and they were being great examples to how to grow a business and how to deal with the struggles and turn that into a positive and just keep going regardless of what the outcome may be, right? Just have faith that your hard work will pay off, that what you're doing, if you're doing the right things, it's going to pay off. So not only did I have my parents as examples to follow, but my brother and my sister too, who were also very business minded. And so I played soccer for a high school. I ended up getting a scholarship, and then I went off to college to play soccer at Our Lady of the Lake. Freshman year, I go into college, and I have no idea what I want to do for a living. I have no idea what major to go in. I know a lot of college students probably have that exact same problem, that they're not entirely sure what they want to do. The only thing I knew I wanted to do was I wanted to play soccer, and I knew I wanted to stay in school. I knew I was going to finish, so I ended up choosing a kinesiology major. And so that was my major during college. About a year and a half in, I decided to start focusing my major on education. And so by the time I graduated college, I was a certified Texas teacher. I ended up, right after college, I ended up teaching in San Antonio ISD. So it just worked out. Where I was doing my student teaching at Fox Tech High School in San Antonio, that's where I ended up teaching. So finished my student teaching in the spring, and during the summertime, I got hired there as a physical education coach. And so I thought that's, pretty cool. I'm 21, 22 years old at the time, and lots of fun. I was very, very comfortable with what I was doing. And then I moved back down to the valley for Alpaquita Ranch. So I resigned after only a year of teaching up there. And I remember some of the staff being like, well, why are you leaving? I mean, you seem to enjoy it so much. You have so much passion for children and for teaching them and about health and all that good stuff. But God had bigger plans for me. And so here I am after a few years. And this December will mark 3 years of Alpaquita Ranch being open to the public.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you leave teaching to do this? Is that what you said?
I did leave teaching to do this. And so the backstory about Alpaquita Ranch, we should probably, because this is kind of where it overlaps.
Okay. That's how it always goes, right? Stuff is going on.
So stuff's overlapping.
Yeah.
And so what happened was I don't remember if it was before college. So my family and I took a family vacation to Peru one year.
Okay.
And that's really
Peru. Okay.
Yeah. So South America, Andes, that is what kind of started all of that, was that trip. We take that trip to Peru. We have an amazing time. I mean, if you ever have, I don't know if you've traveled to Peru. Okay. Yeah. I had no idea why we were there. I knew there was Machu Picchu, but we were all mind blown on how just beautiful of a country Peru is. I mean, it is insane. Not only did we get to go to Machu Picchu, which is one of the wonders of the world, but they also have the highest navigable lake in the world, which was super cool. And because you're actually on the lake and the clouds are like right there. You're so high up and the altitude.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's how high up. And just a lot of the culture and the people, the foods, and of course the alpacas. The alpacas were amazing. So we had the opportunity. We were part of like a tour group.
Yeah.
And so they took us to an alpaca farm. And I remember meeting the both types of alpacas that there are in the world. My family and I. And we went to an alpaca farm. And in that alpaca farm, they actually started to show us. They did a little class on us, and part of the class that they were showing us is how they turn the alpaca fleece into, beautiful sweaters and scarves and gloves, because alpaca fiber it can be turned into a really valuable yarn that can then be turned into a sweater, a scarf, a hat, and so just clothing in general. So not just these little plushies that you're holding right now, but
I still am.
but different types of clothing and different items that can be used. Products. And so one of the lessons that they did there with us was they naturally dyed some alpaca fleece. So this raw alpaca fleece, they naturally dyed it red. And so then they would show us, you shear the alpaca, you cut the fleece off of the alpaca, you wash it with an organic soap, because alpaca fiber is very special, so you don't want to mess it up with any chemicals or stuff like that. And then you have to naturally dye it. Well, how did they naturally dye an alpaca fleece red, right? They didn't go to no store and buy no spray paint or
we're in the middle of
buckets.
Peru, right?
Yeah.
It's like there's no Walmart.
Yeah. So what they do was they use a little scale insect parasite called cochinilla. And cochinilla, it lives on a cactus, on a nopal. And when you squish the cochinilla, it releases a acid, and that acid's called carmine. And carmine acid is bright red. And so what she did was she had cochinilla. She started to crush the cochinilla. She put the alpaca fleece, mixed it with water and the cochinilla. When she pulled out the fleece, it was red.
Wow.
When you let it dry and a few extra ingredients, you start to really set in that fleece. And so the reason I bring that up is because that's just one of the few things that we brought back here to our farm. I was telling you earlier how we do field trips out here, and we have schools and daycares, adult daycares, high schools, middle schools, elementary schools that come and visit us. And one of the activities that we do is yarn dyeing with cochinilla. And so we got to bring that lesson to Alpaquita Ranch.
That's
and
awesome.
students really, really, really enjoy it. The amazing thing is we have been able to do this activity with pre-K kiddos. We have been able to do this activity with middle school students, with high school students, and we obviously adjust the level of difficulty according to the age group. But they all enjoy the activity and they all learn so much from it. Because otherwise, some of these students I would have never known. You walk into our gift shop right now and you see a red sweater that says made from alpaca yarn, and you might not be able to connect how is that made from an alpaca?
Where's the red alpaca, right?
Yeah, no such thing. So that's actually one of the questions I ask the kiddos before they go into the garden and we do that activity is, is there such thing as a red alpaca? No. Is there such thing as a brown? Yes. What about blue? So then how did I get these blue sweaters, right? So it has to be naturally dyed flowers, insects, seeds, different natural dyes that have been used in the Americas. I was talking to someone the other day. They were eating a yogurt, and I told them there's actually if you go to HEB right now tonight, right? Go to HEB, go look at a plate yogurt that's strawberry flavor, and on the ingredient list in the back, it's going to say carmine, which is cochinilla, which is an insect from the cactus, and they still use that today for color.
Wow!
So not only are they using it over in Peru and Mexico and different types of the world, they're still today using cochinilla to dye products and or even foods for that matter. Cool, and man. So just a very valuable lesson that we brought back from Peru to here and now get to educate students from all over the valley and even a little bit north of the valley. We've started to have schools come down and visit. And they get the experience of not only walking the alpacas and feeding them, but also learning a little bit about how the yarn is dyed and learning about their fleece and so very, very educational, which just lined up so perfectly since I come from a family of educators that have had child care centers, all their lives.
Yeah.
I became a high school teacher, and then to come back here and still be able to educate.
Yeah, it's in your blood, man.
I really do believe it. I really do think that this was the plan that God had for me is to continue to educate people and to continue to put smiles on people's faces and bring joy to people through alpacas and through farm and through nature.
And it's doing it too, man. So you mentioned that you went to Peru. You said you were like in high school or like around that college time?
Yes.
So that begs the question. I just realized, did the alpacas come before Alpaquita Ranch or did Alpaquita Ranch bring the alpacas?
So most definitely we had alpacas here first. So the story is when we got back to Peru, when we got back from Peru, a few years later, we had this land. Remember I mentioned that child care center in Ed Couch that we grew up on?
Had farm animals out there?
Okay. Yeah. So we got moved out of there. We ended up selling that location. And my dad had these 10 acres, which are now Alpaquita Ranch. He had these 10 acres for a while. But there was nothing on this land. It was flat land, that they would do different agriculture on it. So cotton and different types of
farmland.
Yeah. And so we never would come here. This was just kind of land that he had just purchased, future investment. Yeah, just an investment. And so it wasn't until that we sold that property that he started to move some farm animals into here. And so he brought over his chickens and he brought over his cows and he brought over his few couple animals, dogs and stuff that he had. And we used to live my parents still do live about 35, 40 minutes from here. And so my dad used to drive every day to come feed and take care of his animals because this was the only land that he had now to take care of these animals. And so he had a few animals out here. We go to Peru, we come back. Then my mother decides to buy a few alpacas. And so she buys a few alpacas and decides that she's going to keep them away from my dad's animals. She's going to take care of them. There's a picture where my dad's building like a little barn out of wood for the alpacas, which a few months later got blown away by a huge storm that we had. Yeah, so that's
what?
Yeah, so my mom has a few alpacas, and then we get into the middle of the pandemic starts. The COVID hits.
She has them though. Yeah.
She has the alpacas. COVID hits, and she starts to spend a lot more time here at the farm with her alpacas. Keep in mind, this is land that now my dad has a few animals out in the back. My mom has a few alpacas. I think there were like 5 or 7 alpacas. And the rest of the 10 acres were used to make hay bales. And during this time, during COVID, my mom found herself spending a lot more time with her alpacas and really grew to love these alpacas that she had homed here at it wasn't Alpaquita Ranch at the time.
Those are just her alpacas.
It was just her alpacas.
Yeah.
She had never really had pets besides maybe a dog at home, and so she started to have her little herd of alpacas. And during the pandemic, I was still in college, and so whenever I would come back here and visit, I remember meeting some of her alpacas and thinking, what is going on out here? But it was fun. It was
it's
always
her thing, right?
Yeah, it was her thing. She had a little barn for them, and she would have a little fenced in area. And she claims that she originally bought the alpacas for her grandchildren. I don't have any kids, but my brother and my sister have kids, and so she wanted to have alpacas so that the grandchildren can come visit the farm, which there wasn't really much out here besides that little house. And then a few farm animals out in the back. So her grandchildren would come over, and my mom started snapping a few pictures of the alpacas with my nieces and nephews. And at the time, this entire land was just beautiful pastures with long grass. So the photos were really nice because you had an alpaca standing in the middle of a field with, a 3-year-old kiddo, and it looked pretty cool. So that is what sparked the idea to my mother to start having more family and more friends come visit the alpacas. And so what she started to do was she started to dress the alpacas up. She started to tell family and friends, hey, come on over. There's really not much out here at that point, but people and family were still coming out. It's COVID, so there was really there's really not much.
They got time.
Yeah, so she has family, she has friends coming over to visit the alpacas, and she's taking pictures of family with the alpacas. And I remember she starts making little charcuterie boards for family and friends that would come visit the alpacas. So if you came and visited, with your wife, not only would you get to hang out with the alpacas for a bit, you would also get to have a little snack and maybe some wine or grape juice, whatever you wanted to have. So she starts doing that for family and friends. And then we create the Facebook page. And so I'm in San Antonio, I'm teaching, and my mom's communicating with me saying, hey, this is what's going on. We're gonna have this Facebook page, and let's start taking pictures of the visitors that come visit and upload it and see what happens. I was a little bit more, I guess, social media savvy than my mother, so I was helping her with it just because she wanted me to help her with the Facebook and uploading. And so what we would do at the beginning was my mother was taking she was doing by appointment only, which we're still by appointment only. If you want to come do a tour and walk around with your alpacas. And so we do the Facebook page, people start to visit. We would do one family per time slot because of COVID. And so social distance, if people would come with their masks, and they start visiting, they start posting pictures. My mother starts taking pictures of every family that visits. And so she opened in December of 2020. And by about March and April, we had already grown it to where we were booked for like the next 3 months.
Oh my gosh.
So keep in mind, there's just a house and a barn out here and a few alpacas, and there are already people calling, and we're doing appointments, on a notebook, and I'm continuously uploading the pictures and putting captions.
But you're in San Antonio working.
I'm in San Antonio working, so during my lunch break, I'm uploading stuff, and I start the Instagram, which I've had an Instagram probably since I was like 13 years old. So I still today really use social media a lot. So I start uploading the content, and I start to do that. Really, she hadn't yet pitched that she wanted me to take over the farm. That there was no talks about this. I was really just helping because I thought it was fun. It wasn't too much. It wasn't. I had conference time. I had time to be helping with this
on the side. Yeah.
Yeah. So about half the year goes by, and my mother calls me one day, and she says, "Hey, Alpaquita Ranch." By that time, I believe we had the Facebook. I don't remember. We already had the Instagram as well.
They had the name already too?
We already had the name, yeah. So
Okay.
so Alpaquita Ranch. And she pretty much put an offer out on the table, and she's like, "You can come down here to back home, and I will let you take over this business, bank account, animals, everything you can be in charge of, because it's just not what I was trying to get myself into." And so even though she really loved alpacas, it's a lot of work. And she has her job and her business and her grandchildren that she wants to spend time with. And so this farm life wasn't really something that she wanted to continue doing. And so I remember her telling me, you either come down or we're just going to close the ranch, right? And so at first I thought, not happening. Don't think I'm going to go back. I really enjoyed what I was doing in San Antonio at the time, and I was very comfortable up there. And well, I obviously changed my mind, and I ended up coming down. And we started to work. I started to read books and research and learn about these animals, and my mother and I started doing. We've gone to a few other farms around the United States, learning about alpacas and just kind of just learning about as much as we can about these animals, because it's not an animal that's common down here in the valley. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, we have the first alpaca farm here in the valley. And so definitely I came down here and I instantly fell in love with it. We just started to get to work, started to first and foremost make sure the animals were happy and healthy, and started getting a few more alpacas. We slowly started breeding some alpacas. We continued to buy some alpacas. But ultimately, we started to invest also a lot back into the business. So I started to make more barns around the farm so that we could be able to house more alpacas. That little garden to die for. Once I got here, we needed a little space with AC to where we can kind of use as a classroom, so that we could have more schools and field trips and more students. And really, the plan here all along has been to be able to serve people and to be able to have a place to where people can come and have joyful moments, come be happy, come celebrate. I mean, people have now, since we opened, celebrated quinceañeras here, birthday parties, gender reveals, baby showers. We've had people get married here.
Really?
We've had quite a few. We've had people propose. So it has just become a place of pure joy. And I've just pretty much become obsessed with being able to provide that for this community and beyond, and just being able to reach as many people as possible. And so I always thought that when I was teaching, I was still being able to serve others, and I was definitely still being able to serve, the high school students and be able to give back in that way. But when I got to this, I realized how many more people I could serve, and all ages. It doesn't matter how old you are. You can be a 3-year-old child, and you're still going to find joy in these animals. And then we have elderly people, whether they're visiting with an adult daycare or even winter Texans that come and visit. All ages and all type of people can enjoy Alpaquita Ranch, and that's pretty much what's been my goal, and one of my goals is to be able to provide a place for everybody to come enjoy and come spend happy moments, and whether they're celebrating, whether they're just enjoying time with their wife or their boyfriend or their partner, whatever it may be. Being able to provide a place like that now is one of our goals, to continue serving the community and really, again, back to educating. I mean, we're able to educate people, and not only education through field trips. I mean, whenever you come and you get to walk an alpaca and you get to pet the alpaca, you learn so much about them from that experience. Growing up, I remember my mother, she used this example. She would have her child care centers, and she would say, I don't want to teach the children in my child care center about fire trucks, right? I want to bring the fire truck, right? And I want them to be able to experience it and learn through experiences. And so we've kind of kept that here at Alpaquita Ranch, is learning through an experience, is what we've been doing. From the moment you walk in, if you set up a tour here, we give you a quick little introduction. We talk a little bit about alpacas, a little bit about safety, a little bit about where they're from, and a little bit about them, so you're already being informed. But then right after that, it's like, hey, here's an alpaca that you get to walk, interact with, learn about them, learn about, whether they're sweet, cute, friendly, a little bit stubborn at times, how they eat, how they only have bottom row teeth, so they won't bite you, but they can spit, as you know.
Yeah.
So amazing learning experience. And so I always kind of had a feeling growing up that I was going to be in education, but I didn't think that I would be educating and being able to serve people in this way. And so it's kind of all worked out in the way that it did. And I'm happy. I'm happy with the challenges that this farm brings, and overall just happy that I'm able to again serve so many people. And you got to see the fall festival, how many people were here.
Yeah.
We had quite a few people here for that festival, and so that's actually been the most people that we've ever had here on this farm in a day was that day. So you got to see a pretty jam-packed Alpaquita Ranch. And so just trying to continue to grow it, trying to continue to create new experiences. Now, not only we started with tours where you could come walk an alpaca, we expanded to field trips. And so we started hosting schools from all over the valley. I've had McAllen ISD, Brownsville ISD, Harlingen ISD, all over the valley. They come and experience amazing.
That must be cool for the kids, man.
Oh, it's amazing.
Imagine the memories.
It is insane. Yes, absolutely. All grade levels, all abilities. Everybody enjoys it.
Cool,
Everybody enjoys it. Shortly after I got here to the farm, I opened Alpaquita Wine House, which is the wine and beer bar.
Where we're sitting right now.
Yeah, where we're sitting right now.
Where we're recording from.
So we add Alpaquita Wine House. We add another barn, that red barn with the welcome to the fabulous Alpaquita Ranch. Add that red barn, so now we're able to house more alpacas. So now I'm able to buy more alpacas.
Oh, you're actually using that, like for the alpacas?
Oh yeah, that was
it's
made.
Not just a photo op.
No, that was made for alpacas. Cool. In fact, I got to pick the design of that to where it can hold alpacas and lead them directly into pasture. And the whole idea is the more alpacas that I can have, the more tours that you can, the more alpacas that you can walk, the more alpacas that you can feed,
Yeah.
If we stayed at 7 alpacas, if we stayed at 10 alpacas, well, then I could only have so many people visit. And so the plan was always to continue to grow. It still is. And so we got that barn. We were able to put that barn. I was able to put more alpacas in there. And now we have the rental cabins, the Airbnb rental cabins. Is that what
that is out there?
Yeah. So now
that's the stay with alpacas, right?
That's the stay with alpacas.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
And so again, finding ways that I can continue to serve the community for now maybe longer periods of time. So before, when we first started, right, and when my mom first started doing the tour was a 45-minute tour, and then you had to leave, right? That's kind of all we did. Then we grew to, all right, maybe the tour will be an hour and a half. Now, when you book a tour, you can do your tour. You can still stay after. Now you can visit the wine bar. You can do the gift shop. You can continue to hang out. Now that I have the Airbnb cabins, now you have a whole overnight experience where you have alpacas in your private yard.
Oh, wow.
And so again, continuing to provide that experience to people where if you go inside one of the houses, you're actually going to see alpaca plushes. You're going to see alpaca fleece rugs. You're going to see pillows that are made out of the alpaca fleece. And so it is
from these alpacas.
From the alpacas. Yeah. So
that's even cooler.
It is a entire experience that people now get to stay here at the farm. And so it just continuously trying to find ways to be able to have people come visit and enjoy alpacas.
That's
and
cool,
nature.
Man. That's cool. And you took a bit of a risk then, man, because like you had you had just started teaching, so you came over here to try this out. And I mean, it was the right gamble. Like people have made core memories here then. If you've had weddings and proposals, like this 10-acre plot of land is going to be in people's like core memories for the rest of their lives. Like this is what you got going on here. And the whole, like the star of the show is the alpacas. Right. So tell us about the alpacas then, man, because I mean you got all this going on. Obviously you love alpacas, right? That's no lie. Like what is it about them? Like like your mom brought them for herself? Like why? Like why did she want them? Why do you love alpacas? Tell us about the stars of your show, man.
I could sit and just watch alpacas be alpacas. I mean, they're so interesting. They're so goofy. They're so peaceful.
You're a fan just like all of us are.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure.
Tell us about the whole magic. I mean, like magical wool. You said hypoallergenic fleece?
Yeah, so their fleece is hypoallergenic. Weird. Their fleece is anti-flammable. They can produce up
anti-flammable fleece?
And they can produce up to 10 pounds of this fleece every single year.
10 pounds.
Up to 10 pounds every single year. And so, I mean, as soon as you look at an alpaca during the winter time, you see how incredibly fluffy it is. So automatically it stands out. That's automatically, that it's not a llama if it's really, really fluffy, right? That's one of the differences, that alpacas produce this very fluffy fleece, very valuable fiber. The way they keep clean, I don't know if you've ever seen an alpaca, the way they keep their fleece clean is they take a dust bath. And so they literally roll around in the dirt for about a good 5-10 seconds, and they get up, they shake off, and that is how they keep themselves clean. So you really don't need to shower an alpaca. Actually, you don't have to, because they keep themselves clean that way. They are grazers, so they will be out grazing, just like kind of dogs and puppies get the zoomies. Alpacas also sometimes get that.
Do they really?
Yeah, and they do a really, really interesting little jump where they jump up and kind of kick their legs out, and they're just really interesting animals. I mean, I have grown to just love them so much and really just learn so much about them. Alpacas have only been in the United States since about 1984, and so they haven't even been here for too long in the U.S. And so it's still so much to learn about them.
Yeah.
Still so much to learn about them. That's what makes this career, this job of mine now so interesting, is that it's going to be something that I can continuously learn about for the rest of my life. And so super excited for that.
Yeah, man. I was seeing that I read that alpacas are like therapeutic. Like I saw that one of the biggest therapy animal companies in the US, they started having alpacas, and like that there's something about them that like it's literally therapy to like hang out with them, to be with them. Have you experienced that?
Oh yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
people come out here like literally, it's good for your mental health to show up and
yes.
hang out with the alpacas.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we hear it all the time. We hear it from, again, people that come all ages. Anybody who comes out here, these alpacas definitely leave an impact on them, just because how magical they are, these camelids.
And it's weird because, like, I guess you said they've only been here since '84. We don't know much about them. Like, at least us, like in the U.S. I mean, in the U.S., but especially in the Valley, man. Like, how many? And we see llamas every once in a while, but like, it's still to the point where people probably don't even know the difference, right? Like, an alpaca versus a llama.
Yeah.
It's like there's like so much that we don't know about them. So I can imagine, like, when kids come on field trips and they see, like, how many alpacas do you have, by the way?
So right now we have about 58 alpacas right now.
Wow.
And
so
one
imagine.
llama. Yeah.
And one llama?
And one llama. We have one llama.
Is it a male or female?
It's a female.
Do you have that llama so you can show them like what the difference is?
Oh, absolutely.
Is that really why you have
that's
it?
the purpose. Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. Again, I could show them a picture. I could tell them the differences, but it's not until they actually see it that they're like, oh, I see.
So it's all the education. Yeah.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
cool, man.
And that we also have, so there's two types of alpacas in the world.
Okay.
One of the breeds of alpacas makes up 90% of the alpacas in the world. The other type of alpaca makes up only 10% of the world population of alpacas. So there's two types. One is this fluffy alpaca, which makes up 90%, and the other one makes up only 10%. We have both. And so shortly after I arrived, I bought a few of the sooty alpacas, which are incredibly rare, from this gentleman in Houston.
That's the 10%.
That's the 10% of the alpacas in the world. And so we now get to show people and students and anybody who comes and visits, hey, look, these are the two types of alpacas that there is in the world.
Wow.
And they get to see the difference for themselves. One of them has this fluffy fleece. So you are holding the wakaya, which is makes up 90% of the alpacas in the world.
Wakaya?
Wakaya.
Okay.
And the other type is sooty, which have a fleece that's they look like mops is the best way I can describe
Oh,
them.
really?
So these look like teddy bears. The sooty alpacas have long dreadlock-like fiber. They look like mops, also incredibly beautiful animals. And rather than their fleece being teddy bear-like and fluffy like this, it's very silky. It's often even compared to like cashmere.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Cool.
whenever people arrive, the first part of the tour of the introduction, we explain some of the differences between an alpaca and a llama, because quite a few people will come out here and call them llamas. And
Is that a pet peeve or not?
No, I don't mind it. I do make a joke about it when I explain to someone. I'll be doing a tour and I'll tell them, hey, these are the differences between alpacas and llamas. So when you go upload your picture on Facebook, don't call it a llama. But it really doesn't bother me.
It's part of the learning, right?
It's it's part of the learning. It doesn't actually bother me at all because in fact it just makes me want to explain the difference.
It shows you that you still got like work to do, right? Like, you got to educate.
Right.
That's true. That's a good point, man. Have you ever sheared them yourself?
I have.
Yeah?
Yeah. If I need to shear an alpaca, if I have a reason to shear an alpaca, if, for example, I see that maybe their fleece is real matted up and I need to do that for their health. Yeah. I will do it.
Yourself?
I will do it myself. And if I needed to shear an alpaca, it's going to take me quite a while. So every spring, we hire a shear team that comes and shears all of our 55 plus alpacas every spring. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so,
that's cool.
Yeah, so there's a shear team that comes down and they shear the alpacas for us. And so we're always there involved. I always upload reels of when we're doing it. Shearing the alpacas is one of the most important parts of having an alpaca. You need to shear the alpaca for health reasons, for example. And so every April we bring in a shear team. And we have a day that's dedicated to cleaning up and shearing all of our alpacas. And these guys are really, really good. They can shear an alpaca without hurting it in about 5 minutes.
What?
4 or 5 minutes, the alpaca's up and back into its pasture.
They're way bigger than sheep, though. That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Wow. And you actually use the fiber, right? Like you make
Yes.
wool. I
Yes.
mean, what do you?
So there's a lot of fleece that we get from that,
Cool.
and so that's another way that we that's another thing that we're able to do.
Yeah. Have you ever made anything yourself? Like,
While I haven't become an expert on the process and making our own products here, we don't make anything here. We ship off our fleece to mills. We
okay.
pay for them to make products. We get the products back and we sell them here at our gift shop.
Oh, okay.
So
cool,
we're not
cool.
directly making anything here, but we do still have some of the tools that are used for the process, and we're able to teach through that.
That's cool. Maybe one day you'll like just have some yarn and start like.
I hope so.
crocheting
I hope
or-
so. Yeah. No. And
That's
so
cool, man.
one thing that is for sure is we're still learning.
Yeah.
I'm still learning. I mean,
It's
I'm
still new, right? I mean, yeah.
it's very new for me and incredibly challenging in so many different ways. But that's one of the things that drives me is the daily challenges that come with it. Being able to be a just continuously learning something new every day about an alpaca, about their fleece, about nature, about pastures, about their hay. We feed them a very special type of hay. We don't just feed them. In fact, the little side note: the hay that I feed my alpacas it doesn't even grow here in Texas, and so we have to bring it in from out of state.
Yeah.
So just so much to learn. So much to learn. Then you get into like the business side of things and customer interaction.
Yeah, true.
And
Seeing the happy faces and
there's so
the
much
feedback
to it.
and
There's
all that.
Yeah, so feedback
Dude,
and
that drives
reviews
you,
and
right?
hey, you should do this and hey, you should try this and hey, we weren't happy with this and everything is still it's we're learning. I'm learning every single day on
That's
how.
the beauty of it, though, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
like that's how it should be, right? We have to keep learning. That's what keeps you going. Right?
I don't know everything about alpacas. I don't know everything about business. I don't know everything about having a farm, about having a bar, about having rental cabins. But it's
working, man.
It's something that I strive to be a lifelong learner.
Yeah,
and so
for sure.
right now where I'm at, that definitely a lot to learn.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, man. If we knew everything, like, things would get boring fast.
Right.
So that actually makes me wonder, man. And I mean, not to like bring up any secrets or anything, but tell us about the future, man. Like, do you have any future any visions that are like maybe down the line? Anything that like, because I mean, we see that you got the wine house going, you got to stay with alpacas. Like, it started off as just a photo op, right? So is there anything that you have like maybe that under your sleeve that you want to bring out later on? Any plans in the works?
Yeah, I definitely still have, I mean, huge dreams for this place. And on a Saturday, I'm able to host 200, 300, 600, 800 people. I want that number to continue to grow, and I want to continue to do it year round. So Alpaquita Ranch is not just open during the fall. In the fall, we do have the pumpkin patch, but then we're also open in the winter time. So during December, we do our Christmas decor. We do a tree farm out here. So last year,
yeah? Cool.
I literally loaded up. I took different trips to Home Depot and loaded up real Christmas trees.
Yourself?
I myself went, bought Christmas trees, threw them in the back of my truck, however many fit, and then we came here and we planted them. And I kept going to Home Depot, and we had a tree farm out here. And so then January comes around, and we do our Valentine's decor up until February 14th. So we continue to change the decor out here to allow people to continue to come out here. And then part of also what we do is have little events. So we've had kids camps. We do field trips. We do fall festivals. We do a spring festival. We do a Valentine's event.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so
Cool,
you came to the fall festival where there was quite a bit of people. But for our Valentine's event, it's a lot more intimate and a lot less people.
Okay.
Interaction with the alpacas. Last year, what we did was everybody who booked for our Valentine's event, they got their own table and they got their own charcuterie board. We had live music. And so, again, just trying to stay busy year-round, trying to serve people year-round, trying to give people here in our community something to do. We do summer camps now. And so being able to bring your kids out to a summer camp and do something different outdoors in nature, connect with these magical animals. So I guess plans for the future is to continue to try to serve as many people as I possibly can through this farm. I'm very busy with the alpacas that I have right now,
Yeah,
but
I can imagine.
But
man.
I want more. I want more alpacas. One of my goals, I want more facilities to be able to host more kids and more students.
Okay.
So I want to work on an educational facility where I can maybe have a classroom and be able to bring alpacas in there and be able to teach students more about, be able to host more students is really something that I strive to do, because I've seen children and young adults not only learn so much about it, but just leave this place super, super happy and with knowledge that they didn't have before. So that is just extremely rewarding for me, is to be able to provide them with knowledge, good times. It's incredible.
It's inspiring, man. This whole story is inspiring because we've seen the growth, right? And I like how you said, giving the community something to do. That's why I mentioned earlier. Like, I feel like this place is a gift to us, right? Like, and it's obvious that the community has really like embraced the whole. And maybe it's just the fact that not many people have seen alpacas before. But there's also a lot of work behind the scenes. Obviously, like you mentioned, a lot of the seasons, the different events you have. It's inspiring, man, because there's a lot of us that would like to start doing something one day, or that we have all these visions. Or, I mean, how many of us like in bed in the middle of the night are just planning all these just hypothetical situations, or just these like side gigs in our heads. But you've done that, but it's like you actually made it happen. So that's inspiring, bro. And especially to be all of this wrapped around, revolving around such a beautiful animal. And like, I know that I'm going to be coming here more often. Like, you got a fan in us for sure. So like,
Thank you all.
This is really inspiring, honestly, just to hear also, because it kind of shows us like, man, like we can make it happen. Like you were working, you had already started your life teaching in San Antonio, but like if you have like an idea, like go for it, right? Like, I mean, it can work. There's only one way to find out anyway, right? And you learn. Like, I like how you said you keep learning, and that's probably what makes things successful, because there's always something that you find out, you make things better, right? Like you keep making it grow. And it's obvious in the Instagram, in the way that if you come, you can see how much people love it. I'm gonna check out the YouTube account now. I didn't know that it existed.
Yeah,
but I just learned something there,
and that's probably my fault. I should be pushing it out more. Well, so that's the feedback.
We're learning
I'm
now.
Yeah.
We're finding that out now. So I want to do some speed rounds with you, just a few, if you're up for it. Just some quick questions. We'll start easy. Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
That took you a while though, man.
So I just had a few months ago, I had a cat that showed up here to the farm, and we've never had a cat before. Now I love that cat, and so that's why I kind of hesitated.
Okay.
But all my life I've had dogs.
You don't want to betray the cat.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah,
okay.
You put me on the spot.
Okay,
there,
good.
We won't show the cat this podcast.
Okay, so dog or cat? We got dog here. Have you ever tried to ride one of your alpacas?
No,
okay.
I never had. Well. Not ride. I've never never.
Okay, never crossed your mind.
They don't like that.
Okay,
they feel very uncomfortable with that.
Not even the llama. You never ridden the llama.
No.
Okay, all right.
Never have.
Okay, coffee or tea?
Definitely coffee.
All right. Last question of this really short speed round. Was that an emu that I saw when we got here?
That was an emu.
You have emus too?
Yeah, the two of them.
You have two emus.
There's two emus. Yeah.
Okay, how did they end up here?
That's a funny story. So when I must have, they've probably been here since I was like in middle school. They've been here for years. Since
those same two
emus, yeah.
Okay.
So my dad got them when they were small, like tiny. They look like chickens. And so they've just always been here at the farm.
Oh, those were the farm animals we were talking about.
That was part of the farm animals that have been here since the very, very beginning. But those are out in the back area. People don't go into
not part of the
part of the well, they're there, but no interaction with the emus, really.
Oh, okay. More of like look, there's an emu right there.
Yeah.
Was that the same story with the Highland cows that you had?
It's similar.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because it's not part of like the tour or anything like that, right? Like, okay. Same story with the dogs, the Great Pyramids. or they're working dogs for the
So
ranch?
they're working dogs since so I have got quite a few dogs because my biggest fear is to show up and have outside predators come and yeah, that
there's coyotes out here, man.
that is one of my biggest fears. So
So you got them for the ranch.
so
They're working.
I equipped this ranch with quite a few dogs.
Yeah, and they're good dogs, man.
They're good. They
really good.
will be usually take pretty long naps during the day, and then at night they're out barking and running and just securing the perimeter. They're really good.
Yeah, I've seen videos of those things, man. Like tearing up like coyotes, even like a lone wolf, like even like cougars. Like they really protect. They're very
oh yeah.
What is it, like territorial? Like for they know who they're protecting.
Yeah,
and that's good. They're like sheepdogs, right? They protect their herds.
They do.
That's cool.
And so they get along great with the alpacas, and the alpacas get along great with them. So
has that ever happened where you have predators come in? Like, is that like was it more of just like a fear, or was it an actual thing?
So very, very early on, we did have some stray dogs that came in and had injured a few of our alpacas. So it was 2 alpacas that had got bit on the leg, and so we had to take them into the vet, and so they weren't the biggest dogs, and they still were able to do some damage on the alpacas, and so yeah, that's
like never again type deal. Learn the hard way.
I'm hoping that these dogs.
But it hasn't happened again, right?
Has not. No.
Okay, good. I have a question that I just thought about. I brought my wife one time to do a tour before the podcast, actually. So because we actually like to do our homework on our guests and like support them and stuff. But I actually brought her just because she likes like animals. I did not see there was not a single instance in our experience like of seeing like poop on the like anywhere. Like how you said you have 55 alpacas and you're doing tours. I think when we came there was like 12 of us, if that sounds about right. How is it that there's not poop everywhere?
So first of all, the alpacas are very clean. So I'm gonna get back to that here in a second. We do a lot of work in making sure that the grounds are clean at all times. So if we ever see, I mean, we have staff that are on top of that. On a busy Saturday, if I see an alpaca drop some, I'm going and grabbing a shovel within the, like we all know we're on top of that. So for one, we make sure that we keep the grounds clean at all times because nobody wants to come walk around and step on some. So that's one thing is we most definitely try to keep this place clean.
Do a good job of it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And so another thing is that another real cool fun fact about alpacas, they're very clean animals. They actually use a communal restroom. So they go to the restroom in the same spots as other alpacas.
Okay.
So if you were to walk into one of the alpaca pastures, you're going to notice they have sections that they all use the restroom there, and so we clean it daily. Every day we
even that section where they go.
Oh yeah,
okay.
That's getting scooped up every day.
Okay.
And so, but you'll still see kind of the patch there.
Yeah.
And so they don't just go anywhere. They have their sections, and we on the daily clean up those sections because
that's cool too.
Then you'll start to have flies, and you can start to have parasites. It's just dirty. That we don't want to have dirty barns, dirty stalls. I mean, it just needs to be clean.
Yeah, but at least it's predictable though. Like you have an idea, right? Like so that's good.
Right. I'm not having to rake a whole pasture up.
Yeah, because if anyone's ever dealt with horses, like I mean, they don't really care, man. So
yeah, cows and yeah.
So I got one last question for you, man. So you got this Alpaquita ranch going here in Monte Alto here in are we in Cameron County, by the way? What
so
is this?
The dirt road that you drive on to get into Alpaquita Ranch is literally what divides Hidalgo and Willacy County.
Because I saw the sign Willacy County, and I was like, wait, where were we?
So you go past Willacy, and then when you turn back into the dirt road, you're back into Hidalgo County. And so we're like right on the edge of Hidalgo and Willacy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so you got Alpaquita Ranch on the crossroads of Willacy and Hidalgo County. You're doing all this for the community. People are making memories here. So I got to ask you now, like, what do you love about the Rio Grande Valley?
What do I love about the Rio Grande Valley? When I left to San Antonio, I loved San Antonio, and it wasn't until I moved back here that I really got to appreciate, for one, the people, the culture. I can't leave out the food. I mean, there's nothing.
It's a given, right?
Yeah, so that one for sure. I like that the valley has cities, but also land and the countryside, and
me
just
too.
like right now where we're in the middle of nowhere. It's so quiet, so peaceful. I can look up and see bright stars, the moon, a beautiful sunset that I can see out here at Alpaquita. Right, beautiful sunset because there's just flat land. You can see it drop. But then you're also not too far from McAllen or Edinburgh or Brownsville, and so I guess being able to have a little bit of both. That's another thing.
You're not lost in the big rush of the big city. You can come out here and take a deep breath. Right? It's everything's pretty close too.
Yeah,
so. Yeah. That's a good one, man. I like that. I like the what you said about how you can just come out and see like the stars and everything, because we have it, like we've always been here, so like we might take it for granted, but there's people that have lived in big cities their whole lives that have never like experienced a true like beautiful full moon, or like that starry night, or just like the fresh air, right? So that's a good one. That's true. I mean, and I guess obviously another reason you'll love the valley is because it's home of your your alpaca farm, right?
Yeah,
so,
I don't plan on leaving after.
You're
after what I got myself into.
You're gonna stay put. Well, good, man, good, because we're looking forward to see what comes. And I mean, I did mention earlier that things have grown so fast, but at the same time, like you're just starting out. Like this is new, you know. I mean, especially in terms of business, like this is a newborn business, right? So we're excited to see what you got coming on. And if you guys haven't been out here, it's a beautiful place. I saw like geese out there and like fancy chickens. So there was like 3 types of animals that I'd never seen before, and I saw them all like within 10 minutes. So that was pretty cool, because you think living in the valley, you know a little bit about like you've seen horses, you think you've seen some animals, but you got to check this place out. It's a beautiful area. Whether you love the alpacas or you love the wine, I think you'll be happy either way. It's a beautiful establishment. Congratulations on what you're doing. You're doing a great job. I can honestly say that you have inspired so many people. You know, it's obvious how your passion for this it's showing up everywhere, man. I like the positivity, the education that you're doing, and it's fun. I can honestly say it, I'm having fun.
That's awesome. That's great to hear.
We don't have to travel like 8 hours to check them out. You know, it's right here in our backyard. So thanks for being here with us, man. We got to come check it out. This place is worth a visit, guys, whether it's an event or just a tour. But anyway, I'm sure like we'll be seeing you a lot on social media. We're going to check out that YouTube account, Giovanni Cardenas with Alpaquita Ranch. Come out here, come for some therapy. At the end of the day, come for some therapy, get some fresh air, and meet some alpacas. Thanks for being with us, man. We appreciate that.
Thank you for having me. Thank you all so much.
See you guys next week. Have a good day. Have a good night. Have a good morning. Brush your teeth. We learned that a couple weeks ago, and just enjoy your week. Thanks for spending some time with us today. Don't forget to follow the show on social media for updates on episodes, interactive content, and more opportunities to grow together. We'll see you again next week on your podcast, The Real Grand Podcast. Stay safe. Take care.